Can't quantify.
You
So
can't?
much, Chloe. It's been, I felt deprived, just a bit deprived. But I'm happy that things are coming back again. New normals are taking set. And as far as cricket goes, I mean, it has thrived through the centuries in its varied forms. And today is just another day for us to discover what form it can take on. A brand new concept. Cricket South Africa is shifting the dial on cricket. So very excited for something new.
For those who already know, they'll say you've given it away. But many who are out there will say, oh, not entirely sure what she's talking about. I tell you what, various guises as far as the game is concerned. Here's another. We're going to go to a Zoom conference, a press conference, because there's a cast of thousands. And this is probably the best way to get them together, particularly in these COVID times, and get exactly what it is that's going to be going on. What I can tell you, though, is you're going to love it. Here is the lovely as well, even though she's on Zoom, she's looking lovely right now. Sipogazi Sokanyile. She is the Media and Communications Officer for Cricket South Africa. Over to you, Sipogazi.
Thank you very much, Pommy. Good morning to everybody. Good morning to you, Crystal, as well in studio. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this morning for this very special occasion. For those of you who don't know me, as Pommy said, my name is Sipogazi Sokanyile, and I'll be your co-host along with Mark Nicholas this morning. We're going to be announcing a very special cricket match. It's called 3T Cricket. And Mark is going to take you through a little bit more on what you're going to be expecting. I'd just like to take everybody through a couple of housekeeping rules to please keep your microphone switched off in the middle of the event and during the event, unless you are one of the spokespeople or if you're one of the people asking a question. And just to please note for the members of the media that the Q&A will start at the end of our formal proceedings. So if everybody could please wait on that section for the Q&A and sending your questions through, we'd highly appreciate that. But without wasting too much time, I would like to send a huge thank you to everybody for joining us, and also to just throw to Mark Nicholas to get the program started. Over to you, Mark.
Thank you, Sibs. Very warm welcome, everybody. Great to see you. I think Pommy and Crystal are right. We've missed cricket wherever we've been in the world. It's been an integral part of all of our lives. The objective of today is to launch 3-team cricket and the Solidarity Cup, and we're launching it to the world. It's not just in South Africa and Africa. We're joined all over the world today, fascinated by a new project, a new idea that has become a new format. Some things are a part of your whole life. Cricket has been that part of mine as a player and presenter and writer and commentator, moving into charity work with Chance to Shine, that's bringing cricket back into state schools in England. I'm besotted by the game, but more and more, as I get older and turn to spectacles, I'm besotted by the idea of children playing the game, and concerned by the idea that children don't see cricket in the way that we did when we were young. Therefore, I've long searched for a format that involves young people, a format that doesn't leave an outsider struggling down at third man, wondering what he's doing there. I've long searched for a game that embraces all of its players in crucial roles so that they feel able to develop all the thinking skills, the personality skills and the character skills that make cricket so special for me. I think we're onto something with 3-team cricket. In the incarnation of the Solidarity Cup, which is being played a week on Saturday, we'll be playing 8-man 3-team cricket, the perfect game for kids, the perfect game for clubs that don't necessarily have the resources to put out full 11-man teams in different leagues over a weekend. My own involvement comes from Paul Harris, who is the brains behind this. He's our founder. Paul Harris is the chairman of RAIN, formerly chairman of FNB, and Paul found that lockdown was doing lots of things to him, not least leaving him the time to reflect and wonder what the new world might look like after lockdown. Would it be a brave new world? Would it embrace new ideas? Would it establish innovation as an important part of thinking in sport? He began to talk to Graham Smith and Mark Boucher, his two mates, and then latterly to me. Paul and I are old friends, about the idea of three-team cricket. He had developed it pretty much himself. We then worked with him to tighten up angles of it, apply it to how kids might best use it, and apply it to how the big name players, the De Villiers and the de Kocks and the Rabadas, might play it too. We're not saying it's necessarily the answer. It may well be the answer. We're not saying it is. What we're saying is we're throwing something out there that we think is exciting, we think is fresh, and we think that as we come out of lockdown, it might inspire our young people to join in. They're really our initial aims. I declare my own position. I'm a founder with Paul and the rest of the board, many of whom are from Rain, our backers, the data company. And I'm also a shareholder. So I'm on the side of the subject of three-team cricket, and specifically, I think in this case, on the side of the Solidarity Cup. I believe implicitly in the idea of new formats. I've always thought that cricket can be played in corridors and streets and parks and beaches, dare I say it. It can be played anywhere. I've played cricket in a hotel lobby in Sri Lanka, and I've always believed in cricket in all formats. I don't buy the game can have too many formats. I think back to single wicket, double wicket, 20 overs, 30 overs, 40 overs, 50 overs, 55 overs, 60 overs. And in the very first incarnation of one-day cricket, I think back to 65 overs, way back in 1962 in England. So formats work for cricket. It's a question of trying formats and working out what is best to carry the game forward for us all, not just for young people, but specifically for young people and for us all. That's my initial message. We don't proclaim here to have found a silver bullet, but who knows? Maybe we have. With me today are a number of people who need no introduction. Graham Smith, one of South Africa's greatest cricketers and certainly greatest captain, and now director of cricket at Cricket South Africa. Francois Pienaar, a man of so many parts, such extraordinary level of achievements, and now in this incarnation, the Chief Executive Officer of three-team cricket. Kaya Delanga, the Chief Marketing Officer at Rain, who are backing us, who've driven us forward, who've made us believe, who've put together some of their best tech team to provide the remarkable website that is launched today. Please look at that. It's an extraordinary piece of work, and I don't exaggerate. Dr. Jacques Fall, the acting CEO of Cricket South Africa. Nomkita Ngweni, the interim CEO of the Solidarity Fund. It'll be very interesting to hear from her. And then the captains of the Eagles, Kites and Kingfishers in the big match, respectively, A.B. de Villiers, Quinton de Kock and Kagiso Rabada. We'll come to them in just a second. I'd like to begin with Jacques Fall. Jacques, I know you're there online. There's no way that you've developed three-team cricket as an asset of your own. Paul and the board of three-team cricket came to you, you saw an opportunity, you loved the look of it, and you I think, that it could do something quite special for cricket.
Morning, Mark. Yeah, I think that summarizes it quite well. I've got to acknowledge Paul Harris and the leadership role he's played in it. Some people you cannot put under lockdown, and that goes for Paul as well. But I've got to acknowledge Rain for the willingness to sponsor this event. I've got to acknowledge yourself, Graham Smith and Mark Boucher, help conceptualize this. And then I've got to come to Francois Pienaar, which made this all happen, working closely with the CSA team, the RSM team and the CSA staff to get an event going under lockdown level 3. That's not easy to do, so I got to acknowledge their big contribution. Further to this, the sponsors of the teams and other sponsors involved, thank you for making this possible. To the players, the officials, the stadium staff that's willing to host and make this event happen, I really do appreciate this, and on behalf of all of us, thank you for that. Then to the Solidarity Fund that will be partnering with us. It's such a wonderful initiative. I think it brings South Africans together in a very testing times of our lives. So thank you to the Solidarity Fund, and thank you for the great work that you've been doing. I want to acknowledge the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture for working closely with us to get our protocols approved, and to acknowledge the contribution that the match like this will have to South Africa. Also to SACA, the Players Association, and particularly Andrew Breetske, again, that's been serving on all our subcommittees and has been working quite hard with us. There's a big duty of care, and I want to assure everybody that nobody would be forced to take part in this event, and safety would be of the utmost importance to us. And then lastly, our COVID-19 steering committee and the two doctors, Dr. Manjra and Dr. Ramji, that's got to roll out the safety and health protocols to have this event take place. Thank you very much for your contribution. Thank you, Mark.
Jacques, just one question before I go to a little video. When we chatted about 3-4 months ago in South Africa, you made a key point to me about the need for you and CSA to serve cricket in the community every bit as much as at the first class level of the game. Do you see three-team cricketers doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we temporary custodians of the game, and we're tasked to take the game to the people. And you know, it's particularly difficult in countries that has got big levels of inequality. And I think this is an opportunity for us to get more people involved. I think it's a wonderful format, and I can't wait to see it actually being played. But I think this is, in my heart, it's going to provide another vehicle to take the game to people, and that's wonderful. I'm not sure that Paul, yourself, Graham, and Biff and Bouch, when you came up with this, you would have thought the impact of this, but I think this is going to be big. It's very exciting, and again, a vehicle to take our beautiful game to everybody.
Lovely, our beautiful game. I like those words. Jacques, thank you very much. Please don't go away. There's lots to listen to as we go through the next half an hour or so. We've got a short video. Those of you on Zoom won't be able to see it. We did try rehearsing it. It was iffy. We cut in and out a lot. We're not going to risk it. You'll hear it, but you won't see it. Whereas those of you on television will now be able to have 1 minute wallowing in what 3TC could well prove to be.
Why beat one opponent
when you can beat two?
Three teams.
That's big. That's massive.
2 halves, 1 match.
A format
You have never seen before.
What a magnificent knock this has been.
Like literally never seen it before. It's new.
And the last batter
Stands.
this format. Who thought of the rules?
I think I'm back, am I? Have you got me, Sibs?
Absolutely, you can go ahead, Mark.
Okay, great. That gives you a feel. It's difficult if you haven't actually seen the video. Some of the best players in the country there talking about three-team cricket and an ad that will go out. I want to turn to Graham Smith. Graham, you were there right at the beginning. 3 teams, 2 halves, 1 match. Anything from 8 to 11 players, last man standing. We've had a lot to think about. The conversations with you and Paul and Bouch begun, gosh, almost 3 months ago now.
Yeah, it's quite incredible to get to the point that we have today where we're launching 3-team cricket. It started as a brainstorm on, I think post-COVID, cricket in general, business in general needs to be innovative and think differently. And that's how the conversation started with Paul's brainchild and all of us jumping in and taking it forward, which has been an incredible journey, a busy journey. And it's really been fantastic to get the buy-in of some key partners in this, the players as well. I think that's a crucial aspect, that the players are on board and ready to go, even though they've been locked down for a period of time. We don't expect them to be at 100%, but we're quite excited about the day. And in the end, the first launch of this on the 27th is raising funds for much needed causes in and around in and around cricket and life and the challenges that people have faced, since COVID has hit South Africa and the world, Mark.
Yeah, well, I mean, I mentioned to Jacques about serving the community. We're all hungry for cricket to return, but to do it in such an environment as the Solidarity Cup, where we basically embrace the whole nation. I think that's clever. It certainly wasn't my idea, but I think it's very clever and highly relevant, and therefore easier for everybody to attach themselves to.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's exciting, as you and Jacques and everyone's touched on already, launching this new format and the potential gains of that for cricket. But also then to be able to partner with the Solidarity Fund, to have the support from them on this initiative, I think has been amazing. We've worked closely together for the last couple of weeks, and to have the buy-in and support it's just huge for all of us, and we thank them for that and for being a part of this occasion that we're building up to on the 27th, Mark. And it's going to be exciting. I mean, when I looked at the cricket format from a captaincy perspective, all the different strategies, even though the first one's going to be really COVID driven, as the game grows and evolves and develops, I think the strategies that could come into 3-team cricket is going to be unique.
I'm going to come back to you on that when I talk to the players a little later, because I think we'll have an interesting talk about the nuances of the 3-team game. And as we heard in the ad, from AB, why beat one team when you can beat two? I'm going to bring in Francois Pinard, who's our CEO, who's driven a massive effort to get this game up and running. Frankie, you've been involved in a few things in your life, the IPL, one of them, so you've got a cricket experience behind you. Tell us about this journey.
Well, you had a full disclosure when you started, Mark, and I want to share my disclosure with you. I'm a sports nut, and I've been very fortunate to experience the barrel sport. 25 years ago, next week, I was lucky to stand on a podium with Mr. Nelson Mandela during the Rugby World Cup and saw a nation come together. We saw it again last year with Siya Kolisi and President Ramaphosa. It was just fantastic to see how this country came together, and sport has that power. And Madiba said, sport has the power to change the world. Sport has the power to unite people in a way that little else does. Sport can awaken hope where there was previously only despair. And we've gone through a very tough time. Nobody saw this coming. Nobody could have planned for this pandemic, and it just hit us overnight. And this is just a wonderful opportunity to bring sport back. There's a lot of people that want to watch this. We're just saying to everyone, this is a beta test that we're doing with the best cricketers in South Africa. And it can't be done without sponsors. Now Paul's brainchild worked hard at it and then phoned me, and I got so excited about this. I think this format of the game can grow internationally, and it can bring a new young audience to the game of cricket. And I've been luckily involved in quite a number of youth initiatives in South Africa, the university competition, rugby, football, netball, and I've seen that power, giving youngsters an opportunity to grow. So super excited to be involved in this. And I think this is going to be big.
Tell us about the Hardship Fund.
Yeah, this is why this is so special with Solidarity. I want to say thank you to the team of Solidarity, Nomkita, for giving us their support and allowing us to call it the Solidarity Cup that the players are going to play for. During this tough time, there's been a lot of heartache across the world, and we have seen people really rallying to help one another. When this started, we said we learn a lot about ourselves, our families, and our friends, and everybody's come together here to help. Now, there's cricketers that have fallen on hard times and people in the cricketing community. So what we are doing is everybody's working pro bono on this and raise enough money, or as much money as we possibly can, to give to the Hardship Fund to help those cricketers and people in cricket in need. And if it's not for Rain, that is the presenting sponsor, Outsurance that said yes immediately, and also Take a Lot and Mr. Delivery that said yes immediately. They are sponsoring the 3 teams. We would not have been able to put this together. So we are hoping to raise a lot of money for the Hardship Fund, and we'll make that announcement when the Solidarity Cup is handed over to either the Kingfishers, the Hawks, or the Eagles.
Frankie, I'm going to come back to you, but you've given me a perfect segue to go straight to Nonkita, who is wearing the hat that tells the story. Great to have you with us. Tell us about the hat.
Well, this is a hat that represents citizens in solidarity. As you know, the Solidarity Fund, it's actually, amazing to think that we were not in existence 3 months ago, but we were set up as a rapid response fund, obviously in the context of helping augment the country's response and resilience to COVID-19. And so as a Solidarity Fund, we are very, very proud to be part of the 3-team cricket Solidarity Cup, which we see as a unique and innovative initiative that is geared towards helping those in need, especially, as was said earlier, inspiring young people. As Francois said, our efforts in the Solidarity Fund are really there to help in the health response, humanitarian effort, which is what the Hardship Fund, I think, speaks about, and also most importantly, to create awareness about the behavioral changes that we all need to start embodying if we are going to flatten the curve and actually survive the COVID pandemic. So we are quite delighted that the name of the cup is the Solidarity Cup, and it coincides with the launch of our campaign, which is really aimed towards helping us as South Africans realize the importance of our behaviors in our ability to be able to flatten the curve, Mark. So we are very excited.
Well, that's highly relevant. And it's interesting then, isn't it, that sort of almost by the law of unintended consequences, you've now got some of South Africa's biggest named sportsmen, certainly the 3 captains here and plenty of the other players too, as citizens in solidarity.
Absolutely. I think it was said earlier, I think it was Francois that said it, is that one of the things that we've learned from this pandemic is that as South Africans, we are able to actually get over our differences and come together in what we like to call unity in action. And our campaign really is about that unity in action. All of us, the citizens of this country, being citizens in solidarity to help us overcome the impacts of the COVID pandemic.
Yeah, that ability to find unique solutions really under extreme pressure. Well, we're obviously hoping it goes phenomenally well. So thank you. Hang on there, and I'm just going to switch horses now to Rain, who've driven us along here, pioneers, of course, in the data-only industry. Kaya Delanga is with me now, the Chief Marketing Officer. Rain is making waves, being the first commercial provider of 5G in Africa. I mean, you clearly see broadband as a big unlock for economic growth, Kaya.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what we've seen globally is that it's shown that when you increase people's connectivity to the internet, so does the economic growth of the country. So Rain is really involved in not just trying to make sure that we see sustained economic growth as a country, but we also saw this as a great project with 3-team cricket, because we are the only mobile data only company in the world, and we are the first we're the first ones to bring 5G to the continent. And so when we saw that 3-team cricket, and also quite a number of our board members are involved, with 3-team cricket, it was just a natural fit, because we are this innovative company that's doing new things and things differently. And this new format with 3 teams playing one game was just exciting to us. And just to show that, to show that South Africa can innovate in a very difficult time, that it's always time to innovate. There's always time to do something new and different, but also to assist with the Solidarity Fund, to help alleviate South Africans who are feeling the pinch at the moment.
Kaya, can you see impact in stadia and broadcasting infrastructure and the whole story of streaming and it seems to me an opportunity, one that you're unlikely to miss.
Yeah, like I'll even go a little bit a step further, even if I was to say that. Like, this entire event has been put together using data, if you will. People meeting over Zoom, chatting via various chat platforms, and that is the usage of data. It's something that I'd imagine like 6 months ago, 5 months ago, no one thought that you'd be able to put such a big event without having to sit, a group of people meeting together at the same time. So it just shows how the world is shifting. We've been forced to kind of shift and move on. And then when we're talking about, what's going to happen in stadiums with streaming and or services, I know in South Korea, for example, we have people who are in South Korea, they have cameras with 5G routers, for example, where a camera will feed directly from the stadium and right straight to studio, as opposed to having like vans, sitting outside, which kind of helps cut costs for the production companies. So there's a lot of new innovations that are going to come out, and I think a lot of the things that we're thinking about are going to happen haven't been thought about yet, and I can't wait to see what these new innovations with data are going to do for the future of sport even.
Yeah, I know you were very keen personally to get on the back of this and support it. It's been interesting for Francois and Graham, their journey through finding increased sponsorship. Kyra, I'm just going to switch back to Frankie and Graham. Either of you can dive in here, but you really have got a lot of big names on board.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Thanks, Mark, to be able to attract some new partners to our game. We know that Cricket South Africa in itself had some challenges towards the back end of last year, and we've had to regroup and refocus. Then COVID hits, which have created some challenges. But operationally and behind the scenes, I must commend the team in Cricket South Africa for the work that they've done on this as well. There's some really good people there, to be able to come up with this concept, to brainstorm it and now deliver it to the world, I think is exciting. And to be able to attract sponsors and partners to our game is crucial. We know the challenges that everyone's facing, both business, life, and sport. So to have people like Rain, Take a Lot, Mr. Delivery, and Outsurance who've decided to back this initiative and the cause, I think is hugely gratifying, and we're extremely grateful for.
Frankie, I can say this because I've obviously been, we're in a WhatsApp group, but at the beginning you thought it might be a struggle, and by the end you had to fight them off a bit.
Yeah, this is actually, Mark, a show of solidarity. When I spoke to the CEOs of these companies, it was a quick answer. We said we need a quick yes or no, because we don't have a lot of time and we can't wait for a lingering maybe. And they just said, yes, we're in. We want to support this. It makes so much sense. We're giving back. We're bringing first live sporting event onto the screens. We've got the greatest cricketers in South Africa. We've got AB that's coming back. So they just said, we're all in. So watch out for the batsman that takes a lot of runs, for the best run out, and for the best delivery with these three sponsors.
I'm going to switch, guys, if I may, to the players now and bring in three great names. I suspect it will, going down the track, be thought of as some of the greatest names in the history of South African cricket. AB de Villiers is making his return, a genius batsman. I think that really is the only way to describe him, with every aspect of the game's skill in his grasp. KG Rabada, whose bowling now takes him to the top of the all-time rankings. He really is in the top few that have ever played, and that's proven by figures as well as simply watching him in action. And Quinton de Kock, who I would put in the best 2 or 3 wicket-keeper batsmen ever to have played the game, and certainly in the way that he's changed the game, following on from Adam Gilchrist. He's kind of kept that journey going. So, gentlemen, a warm welcome to all of you. We'll go with age before beauty. AB, we heard you say in the ad, so much better to beat 2 teams than 1. I think you're relishing your return a bit, aren't you?
Hi, Mark. Thank you. Yeah, it's quite exciting, I must say. It's completely different. To be honest with you, as players, we have no idea what to expect. But with that comes a lot of excitement. And as a player, I'm very excited just to get back onto the park. And it's going to be Supersport Park, my favorite ground over here in South Africa. And very excited to take the field and try out this new format. What really stands out to me in this format is that last man standing. As a youngster, I've always dreamed of the opportunity to be the last man standing for your team and winning that game. So with this new format, we certainly get that opportunity, and I'm looking forward to that.
So just for those that don't know, in the 8-man game, when the 7th wicket falls, last man stands. He can only score in 2s, 4s and 6s, no singles, right? Because we have to put a bit of pressure back on him. We've given the opportunity to him to try to win the game on his own. And think of the gladiatorial nature of that. Think if it is Quinton or AB and they're out there all alone with the whole opposition swarming around them, 2 teams looking to beat them. Wow, that could make for some spectacle. KG, as ever, when new formats of the game become shorter, so the bowler looks a bit squeezed out. How do you feel?
I think that it's going to be a fun tournament, and that's really how I'm viewing it. I think it will be competitive, but ultimately, I just think it's going to be really, really fun and exciting. It's very different. It's a new concept, and new concept always, have people on the edges of their seat. And if you have a look at the way cricket is being played these days, it's very modified because of how short the game has become. If you have a look at some of the stuff that AV's done, it can translate into new things that could be done in this tournament. So as a bowler, it does make us think a bit more, especially if you only have you only have 6 fielders. So that's also
you do for this game.
KG,
for this game.
In the stand.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but for the game on the 27th, because of emerging out of COVID, you do only have 6 fielders. Obviously, when we go to play it in a fuller version later, then you can have up to 9 fielders, and almost certainly will. I'm wondering, with the new ball, you've got 3 overs to bowl. You've got to decide who to bowl them to. You could bowl 2 to one team and 1 to the other, or 3 at once. I'm just wondering whether you have a slip, whether you can afford a slip, whether it's crucial to attack with a slip. Have you thought about that?
That's the last fielding position I thought of. But we'll see how the wicket is gonna play. It's actually interesting because the wicket is gonna determine a lot of how the game is gonna be played. And since I don't know how well it's been prepared, but Supersport Park normally comes on. I'm not sure what time of the day we're going to be playing. So that has a factor as well. But we'll see. Maybe we'll add a slip. It all depends on confidence levels, Mark.
I'm going to come back to both of you about your teams in just a moment. Before I do, we'll go to Quinton. Great to have you with us. Your sort of captaincy baptism in those series against England and Australia and the one-day format had thrilling finishes. The ball flying around the park, an enormous amount of excitement and pressure. So you're sort of already pretty well versed in what it's like when things aren't necessarily going your way. How do you feel about 3-team cricket?
Yeah, obviously, like everyone said, it's exciting. It's a new concept. So yeah, it's going to be interesting when we get out there, especially tactics are going to be very different. I spoke to Mark the other day. We were chatting about it, the way how you go about things. So yeah, it's going to be something new. It's going to be exciting. But yeah, I can't wait, especially to just get out of my room and get onto the field again.
Yeah, I'm sure. I think it's very difficult, isn't it, at this stage, to look at the game and say, I've got an idea how I might handle that situation. I mean, first up, you've got to think about beating 2 people, not 1. There are 3 prizes, gold, silver, and bronze. So even if you're out of gold, you could still be battling for silver or bronze.
Yeah, obviously, there's a lot to think about and take in. But like KG said, and everyone else said, it's still new to us. So when we get to that day, we'll we'll determine what needs to get done, and yeah, we'll go about it when we get there.
AB, Take a Lot have come on board to look after you guys. Your team, Aiden Markram, Rassi van der Dussen, Carl Verena, Andile Patraqueo, Sisana Magala, Junior Dala, and Lungi Ngidi. You've got a nice sort of balance there, I think.
Some fantastic names, Mark. And to mention Take a Lot, with our sponsors, obviously entering new territory will not be possible. So with Take a Lot, Mr. Delivery Outsurance on board, it's absolutely fantastic. And I want to thank all of them for supporting this. It's just great for us players, as Quinny mentioned now, to get onto the park and to play a bit of competitive cricket. So when it comes to the format, we're not sure what to expect yet. And we'll certainly use our instincts to try and figure out some sort of a game plan to try and come out on top. We're all very competitive in nature. And so the games will certainly be hard fought. But to CSA and Rain for coming up with this and making it happen, thanks to them, I think it's a fantastic idea. And it comes at a really, really good time where we've had a couple of tough months globally. And for us cricketers to go and play competitive cricket and enjoy ourselves, but also at the same time support people who have really found it difficult over the last few months to keep afloat is a fantastic privilege. So thanks to CSA and Rain for making this happen. We can't wait to get out there.
KG, you've got Out Assurance with you, sponsoring the Kingfishers. Risa Hendricks, Yalaman Milan, Faf du Plessis, Heinrich Klassen. What an impression he made recently, by the way. Chris Morris, Glenn Sturman, and Tabrei Shamsi. Again, nice balance, but the old wrist spinner, handy.
Yeah, that's a solid team. Off the field as well, Maury's going to give a lot of entertainment. It looks like a team that we're just going to try and enjoy ourselves on and off the field. I think, as AB said, naturally when you get on the field, you get a sense of the game, and naturally you'll adjust. So, yes, it seems like a good team. Doopy, it's nice to have Doopy there. So it's going to be fun. Let's wait and see. I'm excited.
Yeah. And Quinton, Mr. Delivery are supporting you. You have Temba Bavuma, JJ Smuts, David Miller, Dwayne Pretorius, Luther Sipala, I should say, Björn Hendricks, and Ulrich Nokia. So I don't know, I might make you favourites, I think. Again, you've got some real power there.
Yeah, obviously, having looked at our team there, obviously I know all the guys, so we're going to go out there and have some fun. But yeah, exactly like you said, we're just going to have a lot of fun while we're out there. And yeah, obviously Mr. Delivery, it's great to have him on board. Can't say I haven't used them once or twice in my life. So yeah, it's great to have them with us. You know, I'm sure they're going to help us, and they're also excited as we are.
Guys, we want you to hang on if you can. AB has got to leave at 10:45. Always had to, actually. Always had a prior thing that he can't get out of. So I'd like everybody just to note that. I'd like also Frankie and Graham to give us a final word here before we throw to the press questions. Graham, your ambition here. What do you see for 3TC cricket, 3-team cricket?
Mark, I mean, my goal is that one, that it creates a lot of talking points, both socially in people's homes, and it escalates, whether people like it or not, debate it. I mean, that's the goal, and that when we get to the game on the 27th, that even carries on. I think for me, I envisage, as you mentioned, it really, helping us down the pipeline, schools, introducing new people to the game. You can see 3 different schools, 3 different clubs playing, and who knows, maybe taking the game into parts of the world internationally down the line, where you could play maybe a South Africa, India, and a USA, for example, and still have a great contest. So I think there's so many things. Who knows where this can go? As you said, it's just been great to be a part of an innovation project with Cricket South Africa to launch a new format to the world. And I think that is hugely exciting. And I'm excited to see our top 24 players on the go on the 27th of June and to see some live sport and the fact that cricket is got there, it's hugely rewarding.
Before I go to Frankie, I'm going to come back to AB. Frankie, sorry, hold on to your hat. I'm going to come back to AB. I've kind of wondered what you've missed the game, I think.
I certainly have, Mark. And obviously we couldn't get out into the nets or onto the park. I found some sort of a replacement with a golf net in my backyard. That's all I've got space for. And it's the closest thing to hitting to Cal, so I've worked hard on that, and I think hopefully with this format, it'll come into use. It'll come in handy nicely. So quite frustrated, to be honest, and I've had a look at my bats there in the storage room, and they're certainly ready to go out and hit some boundaries. So I'm very excited just to get out there. I've certainly kept fit over the last few months. I've got a treadmill here in my house, some sort of a gym, so I've lifted some weights, and I'm as fit as I can be. So I'm ready to run around and to go out there and try and win that Solidarity Cup for the Eagles.
And I'm right in thinking that you've got to make a move. Have you got 5 minutes still?
I certainly have.
Okay, that's great, because what we'll do is we'll ask the press to come to you first. Francois, over to you.
Mark, Captain Smith said it all. We think this has got tremendous potential at grassroots and for the pros. And I just want to thank everybody for making this happen. The first live game, for the sponsors, Solidarity, everybody involved, the superstar cricketers. We're going to unite South Africa on the 27th.
And Kaya, if I could just ask you to unmute for a minute and sum up on behalf of Rain the feeling you have at this moment, not even of renewal, but of something new, something innovative and fresh, that has the potential to change things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for Rain, it's a beautiful thing to be involved in, because and we don't like because we've seen and people see us as this innovative company, but we don't innovate for the sake of innovating. We innovate for the times, when the times call for it, and this is what has really and this is why we're involved here, because the time calls for new rules and to do things differently. And we don't know if it's going to work. And that's a great thing about innovation. You have to go out there and be brave and do something that no one has done before. And then you see if it's going to work or not. But I think it's going to be pretty exciting for Rain being involved. And I personally cannot wait to see the last man standing. I think for me, that is my favorite thing about this whole thing. So yeah, let's see what happens.
Great stuff. I'd like to thank you and Jacques and Nomkita. We're going to hear from the players again in just a moment, but Francois and Graham, hang on the line too. We're also going to show a short video that I made with an imaginary game that Paul put together months ago to first bring us the idea. It ends with a bit of drama from AB, so it's worth listening to just for that. Hopefully that'll give you a feel. It also drops in a few scorecards. The final message from me directly is the idea that cricket can do more here than just hit the ground running. It can be shouting from the rooftops. We come out of an extraordinary period of our lives, this COVID-19 lockdown that has shaken and stopped the world. And now we gently emerged. As far as I'm aware, we're amongst the first pieces of live sport to be broadcast, of course, to an empty stadium, but I hope to full living rooms all around the country and to anywhere else in the world that can pick this first 3-team cricket match up. Thank you so much for joining us. I know the studio are going to pick up on TV in a moment. I'm now going to hand back to Sibs, who will run the press conference. I'll stay on the line, but Sibs, I'm sure you're keen to encourage questions to AB first up. Thank you all so much for joining us today. We appreciate it. We hope 3-team cricket is your thing, and we hope that it brings something very special to the sporting world.
Thank you very much.
There you have it. 3-team cricket is alive and is officially
Thank you very much to everybody who has joined us for the formalities. I'm going to start off with questions for AB de Villiers, please. Please, may I ask and remind everybody to start by indicating in the chat whether you would like to ask any questions. I'm starting with Ken, who has requested a question for AB. Ken, you can go.
Hi, AB. Thanks, Kazi. AB, I'm sure you know what's coming. You know, getting back involved with the Cricket South Africa project. Should we read more into this? Do you foresee yourself being available for Cricket South Africa more in the future? Have you made any decisions along those lines?
Hi, Ken. Thanks for that one first up. Obviously, I'm very excited and privileged just to be a part of this. I think this format's going to go a long way. And as players, we are certainly in a privileged position to just help get this off the ground and at the same time have some fun and also raise some funds for the Hardship Fund. So it's a great privilege. Decisions about involvement with CSA over the next 12 months haven't been decided on yet. That will happen over the next few months once we get back onto the park, once we start playing cricket again. I have had some discussions with Bouch and Graham in the past, in the last few months, but nothing has been decided yet. I think it will be silly to have made some decisions in the middle of the lockdown when no one knows where we're heading with cricket. With this format launched now, I'm just excited to get out there, and discussions will certainly open up over the next few months.
Thanks very much, AB. Can we have Peter van den Berg, please? Okay, it doesn't seem as though anybody else has any questions left for AB.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear him, Sibs.
Can you hear? Can you hear him, AB?
I can't.
Can you hear me now?
You're a bit faint, Peter. We can hear you. I'd like to start with questions for AB de Villiers, please. So if anybody's got any questions for AB, indicate now. Otherwise, we will be letting him go after this. I can see that people are asking for Francois and Graham.
There's one there,
Khalid. There's Khalid for AB.
Okay.
Hi, AB. Hi, AB. I just wanted to know, what are you most excited about this tournament going forward, and especially for the fans now getting this new brand of cricket over here? How excited are you for this, for the future of South African cricket as well?
Yeah, firstly, I'm very excited just to meet up with the players again. I haven't seen my friends in ages. I think we're all excited to play some competitive cricket again. So to see the likes of Quinny, KG, and the rest of the guys in action is going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that. And I alluded to it earlier that I'm very excited about that last man standing. I hope I get the opportunity to be the last guy out there in one of the games and try and sort of manipulate the fields, try and play with the bowler's mind a bit. I think this format is fantastic when it comes to that, to really give that, Mark mentioned earlier, that gladiatorial feel to the whole, to the format. It's going to be fantastic, where you can single-handedly find a way to contribute and to win the game for your team. So very excited, and I think the fans are going to love this format. So big thanks to SuperSport for broadcasting it, to make sure that it goes out there and creates a bit of a hype around the country and the globe. I think that's ultimately what it's all about. It's really creating excitement, and for us players to have a smile on our faces while we play, that's not going to be a challenge. We certainly got to enjoy it.
Thanks very much, AB. I'm going to ask Percival Young to ask his question. He's going to be asking you in Afrikaans, if that's okay.
Okay.
Baie dankie. Thank you so much, Super Kazi. Ek weet net kortliks die belangrike van hierdie toernooi en hoe voel jy om weer deel te wees van spanne in Suid-Afrika? Veral hierdie solidariteit aan beker, as ek dit reg het.
Dis reg, ja. Dit is 'n fantastiese geleentheid vir ons cricketers om eerstens al uit te kom en bietjie onsself te geniet. Ons is almal frustreerd na die 2-3 maande van nie veel doen nie. So ons wil graag uitkom. Ek dink dit is fantasties vir die mense wat ook nie lewendige sport gesien het in die laaste 2 tot 3 maande nie. Ek dink hulle gaan dit regtig geniet, en dan die feit dat ons 'n nuwe formaat begin en die geleentheid het om deel te wees van dit gaan regtig fantasties wees, en ek dink die mense wat daarna gaan kyk op SuperSport gaan dit baie geniet, soos ons spelers dit ook gaan geniet.
Baie dankie. Thank you.
Thanks, Percival, and thank you, Abby, for joining us today. I'm going to move on to questions for Graham and for Francois. We'll start with you, Peter, and we'll start with Francois.
Right, Francois, Graham, I trust you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Just a question on radio commentary. Will RSG and SABC stations be allowed to broadcast this?
It's a good question, Peter. We've in a relationship with SuperSport, so I'll get back to you on that. I think it will be doable, but let me just round robin and get back to you on it.
All right. Can I just mention that we can still do it from telly? We need not to be at the ground itself with a current COVID problem. So yes, please, if we can get some feedback, it would be super.
Yeah, I don't foresee it being a big problem. Let me just check with everyone.
Thank you very much. Graham, that was the same question for you. So thank you, Francois.
Okay. Perfect. We'll move on to Hamadullah. Question for Francois. Mr. Sohu. Question for Francois. Okay. We'll move on to the next questions. Can everybody please indicate who would like to go next? The chat is a bit clean. Gordon, you can go.
Hi guys, yes, obviously thank you very much, and I think it's a great initiative. Well done to everyone. The question is obviously in terms of the stills photographers, is there going to be made provision for the agencies to be able to come in and obviously social distance around the pitch to be able to take photos? Obviously we cannot work off television.
Shall we throw this to Graham?
It's a very valid question, and I'm sure there's a few journos on here that are wondering whether they can get into the stadium or not. We are busy, and that will be decided by the medical team. We've built biozoning, well, effectively zoning SuperSport Park, and we'll roll that out over the next couple of days in terms of how that's going to be handled. So we will take up that communication with everybody going forward. Obviously, medical comes first, and people and players' safety, and everyone in the stadium. So this is a COVID-style game, and yeah, so over the coming week we will roll that out with everybody.
Thanks for that, Graham. We'll go with Shafiq, Fidos, Shoni, and then Ken. Please.
No, I was going to ask about the bio bubbles and health regulations and all that, but I think I am very much onto that. Thank you.
Thanks, Shafiq. Fidos?
Hi there. Could I just check whether the June 27 date is set? Because obviously that's in 10 days' time, and there'd still be regulations that are being gazetted and debated. And also, what is the government protocol regarding travel of players in and out of various venues? Can we just get some information on those logistics?
Graham, would you like to take that one?
There are permits in place for players to be moving around now. For those, we know that domestic travel has opened up for business purposes as well. We've been working very closely with the Minister of Arts and Culture. We've presented extensive medical plans on return to training and return to play of in particular professional non-contact sport. We have been gazetted, and we're excited to move forward. And the best way to do that is with an opportunity to raise as much money as possible for everyone who's fallen on hard times, launch this exciting format, and sort of hopefully use being the first live sport event ready to go. Obviously, it would be great if we could have the stadium filled with fans. So we're looking at a whole lot of new initiatives to make it an exciting television product. But everything will be driven from our medical staff going forward, who have put all the plans in place.
Captain, if I can also jump in here, I've been super impressed with the way Cricket South Africa's medical team has gone about planning for the game, making sure player safety first, making sure that we take each and every precaution possible to ensure that safety. And I just wanted to thank the medical team of Cricket South Africa. They did best practice. They've been communicating with people globally on what's happening, because games have started to take place behind closed doors. And this is specifically then focused on the COVID game that we are hosting on the 27th.
Thank you, Frankie. We've got Sonny and then Khalid straight after. Sonny, who would give your question to Graham?
To Graham, yeah. So it's also about the regulations. So I just want to check. So the minister had said last week when he published the regulations that obviously all federations or sporting bodies needed to submit their plan to him, and obviously then that had to be approved. So has that been done already? That's the first thing. And then the other thing was, is cricket considered contact or non-contact sport? Because one of the regulations, and also around, you consider yourselves professional or not professional with this specific tournament, because one of the regulations talks about no training or matches in an area declared as a hotspot. So I'm just trying to work out, have all those issues been sorted out, given that Supersport Park is in a hotspot?
Yeah, I mean, we've done extensive, as Francois said, we've done extensive amount of work. I mean, I think we've presented, I mean, I lose track of how much we've presented to the ministry through the DG. And we have submitted again post-gazetting. We've got a meeting with everybody this afternoon again. And yeah, we've seen golf, we've seen amateur golf move forward, we've seen sport progressing. People are out there now training, and we're excited to be a part of that now. As you say, we're ready to go, and we've worked together with government on this, and we're excited to have the support of them and the Solidarity Fund. I mean, I think don't underestimate the support that we've got from the Solidarity Fund to be able to join ranks with them. And help launch their new Citizen of Solidarity campaign alongside with what we're trying to create.
I can also just add there Graham, Nomkita might want to jump in too. The excitement in terms of the messaging that sport is coming back, that it's a COVID-friendly environment, that it's a non-contact sport, that we'll do everything in our powers to make sure that there's safety, and that the players are all giving back. Everybody's doing this to help those that I need. And Solidarity is super excited to take this as an example of how we can share to the South Africans to be citizens in solidarity, to keep our social distancing, to wear our masks, to make sure that we wash our hands. Nomkita, am I?
Yeah, absolutely. You're doing a great job, Francois. I think that we are also, as we've said, super excited about this game and this initiative, because for us, it combines a number of important elements. Firstly, I think it's reviving the excitement over cricket, which is a much-loved sport in our country. As Francois has said, it raises awareness about the pandemic, but also, most importantly, it gives back to those in need. So we look forward to the game, and especially the role modeling, from the groundsmen and the cricket players around some of, the basic tenets of social distancing, some of the behaviors that we all need to embody. So we are quite excited to be in partnership. And also, as I said, I'm wearing the cap that unveils the logo that everybody is going to be wearing on the pitch, which is really about citizens in solidarity.
Thanks very much, Nomkita. Ken, you can go next. Please indicate who you would like to ask your question to.
This is for Graham. Graham, presumably this game is also quite important in terms of getting the Proteas back up and running ahead of what I think you guys yourselves have speculated as an August return to action. Could you just maybe give us an update on those August plans? And just linked to that, who was responsible then for choosing these teams for the 27th of June? And just linked to that, if you can give us any progress on the appointment of convener of selectors.
Thanks, Ken. Where do I start? So yes, I mean, players have been on extensive training programs, certainly over the last couple of weeks, 5 to 6 weeks. That's been up and running. It's very difficult to confirm anything on the FTPs at the moment, as everything's very, very fluid. We are still in discussions weekly with member bodies on trying to find the way forward. I mean, I guess the most pressing fixture for us at the moment is the trip to the Caribbean, and how we get, in particular, those 2 test matches done and where we fit them in. You know, as mentioned before, we've had the scheduled series with India in August. Then Pakistan were meant to come, and then scheduled for the T20 World Cup. So we're in consistent discussions with everybody on seeing if those can be moved to, you know, other parts of the calendar to create some space. So it's hard to give you a definitive answer because no one has confirmed anything as of yet, Ken. So you know, that's a little bit up in the air.
Thanks, Graham. I'm going to move on to Khalid and then to
Sorry,
Hamid.
just the other part of my question, please, about who selected teams for this, and just focus on convenience.
It's been an internal decision between Mark, myself, and the transformation committee. Everyone's been involved in it. So it's been an internal decision through Cricket South Africa. On the appointments, we've done a whole lot of interviews, and the only one left is the convener selectors, which we will be focusing on now going forward.
Thanks, Graham. Khalid, please indicate who you'd like to speak to.
I also want to ask Graham, with the teams that you selected, there's a lot of very skillful players over here, obviously, and we've seen them obviously play for South Africa, etc. But do you think that this tournament is going to give some indication to the fans that this will be quite a competitive, and give you guys some indications of future teams that you will be selecting?
Yeah, it's been interesting to select teams for a new format. You're obviously trying to provide as much balance and 3 equally competitive teams as well. So you want to kind of provide the best cricket that you can on the day, and I think putting those 3 teams together has been an interesting process. And I think there's a lot of exciting talent, and you know, we don't, you know, I think we'd be amiss to expect our players to be 100%. I mean, they've handled the build-up, they've handled the lockdown well, they've done elements of training, but they haven't been able to get the extensive cricket or outdoor training that normally we expect of them going into big contests. So I think it's going to be a nice journey, a nice story to tell. Also, how their lockdown has been, how they've managed to stay afloat as professional athletes. So I think there's some nice stories to tell in the build-up of that. But I think in hope, when we selected the 3 teams, that we'd be able to provide a really competitive day. 3 well-balanced teams offering opportunities as well to exciting players, which is what we wanted to create.
Captain, can I also just jump in there? It's Francois. And talking to the players, when we discussed the concept with them, some of them were nervous that they won't be 100%. Chris Morris, for instance, said, you know, he won't be ready to bowl at 100%. I know KG might not be ready too, because of lockdown and not being able to train as hard as they wanted to. And so we're saying to the public that these superstars are doing all of this for solidarity in a new format, but they will not be 100% playing the game. So it is a beta game and needs to be seen as that.
Thanks, Francois. Hamidullah, you've got a question. Can you please indicate who you would like to ask that question to?
Hello, I have a question for Graham. First of all, congratulations to the Cricket South Africa on bringing up this cricket back on the field. My question is, do you have any regional channels like other continents on board? Because we in Pakistan, how can we watch this competition? And any chances for Graham to be back on the field in this tournament?
I'll deal with the last part of your question first. That is definitely no chance of that happening. My days of facing 140 and 150 kilometers an hour is over. I've still got a lot of bruises left over to remind me. The goal is to have it televised worldwide. We are in discussions with all our international broadcast partners at the moment. And hopefully we'll be able to conclude that shortly. As you can imagine, this has been a process of moving really quickly and getting things done. So there are some discussions that are still underway, but the goal would be able to share this format, this occasion with everyone worldwide, all our broadcast partners in particular who've been starved of cricket as well. We feel it's a nice opportunity to be able to share with them.
Thanks, Graham. I'd like to open questions to the remaining two players, for Kagiso, Rabada and for Quinton de Kock. We're going to start with Shafiq, who's got a question for Kagiso.
KG, you've been in trouble in the past for how you've celebrated wickets. Now with high fives and hugging and those things not permitted, I assume. Have you thought about how you guys are going to celebrate wickets and big moments?
Now we'll see to that when we get there, but obviously we have to social distance somehow. Yeah, so I think virtual high fives or high fives from a mile away, from 2 meters away. I don't know. We'll come up with something.
Any other takers for KG and Quinton? Any other questions, guys? On Ghana, please go for KG.
KG, you've obviously played with a lot of freedom. Now that you're captain, what should we expect from KG, the captain? How are you gonna? What is your leading style?
I guess we'll find out. I think it'll help, to have other guys, because I think you can always learn. I think I have a sense of how the game works. Everyone will have a sense of how the game works. And since I've been made captain, so I think I will try and lead the team from a perspective, from a way that I see the game. But you don't want to limit anyone. So I'll be very open to how people want to play and just giving them their freedom, because they know what they're doing as well. And then strategies, I think it's a collective thing. But I think when it comes to leadership, it's just trying to get the best out of everyone, and not really seeing it as, actually forget about that. But I think just trying to get the guys to get the best out of themselves. That's it, really.
Thanks, KG. We've got a question from Lungani Zama. Nobody else has indicated for questions for the players. So after Lungani's question, I will be happy for KGS to leave to depart. So please indicate if anybody else would like to speak to Kagiso. Lungani, you're up.
KG, obviously, given this time of year, Pretoria gets very cold. How concerned are you about the time of day that you're going to be playing in the heart of winter? And then obviously there's also a lot of formats and concepts of the game sprouting up around the world. How do you see this, and do you see it something that can make an impact and create a new audience for the game beyond this one-off game?
Yeah, in the winter, I think it takes me back to school days. Quinny will know, where you go on camps in the winter, and it gets really cold. And at that time, they're really hard on you, the coaches. Hit cover catches in the morning during winters, and it gets really cold. High catches, ice baths. So I get that kind of feel. I feel like it'll bring back memories from those days, definitely. And then I think, yeah, we'll have to deal with it. Well, there's nothing else we can do about it. But I think the concept is really good. Like I said, it's really interesting, and I guess it is all for a good cause as well. So that's quite important. Like you have the 100 ball in England, which is really exciting. You got the T10 in Dubai, I think, and now you got the 3TC, and the game is becoming is really modifying, and that brings in sponsors, like you've seen with Outsurance, with Mr. Delivery and Rain, because it's exciting, and that's what draws the people in. And that's the type of interest that people are looking at. If you look at how Kerry Packer started the World Series. That brought a lot of interest into the game. So this is a similar thing, especially for South African cricket. It's nice that it's a South African event, and hopefully it can just go from strength to strength.
Thanks, KG. There is a follow-up question for Graham from Sony. Sony, can you go?
Yeah, so, yes. I'm not sure if my question was answered because my line went a bit weird, but just on the hotspots and training and matches there, has that also been cleared now? Because the regulations released last week said no training or matches may be played in a hotspot.
Yeah, we've done, as I said, we've done extensive work on that. We presented our plans from hotel to ground to stadium to zoning. So yes, everything has been handled.
Okay, so then that part of the regulations will not apply in this case.
It's been cleared. We've done all the medical work.
We also work with the medical team, and the medical team will lead us here.
Yeah, the medical team are driving everything. They've presented their plans. We've presented. Everything's been okayed.
Mm. Okay.
Graham, Fidos has a question for you.
Thanks. Yeah, I just would like to ask about kind of the follow-ups from this. So if this is kind of the inaugural event of this new format, what are the longer-term plans? Is there going to be a second version of it, or just where do we go from after this one-off? Because presumably there's going to be more.
Yeah, thanks, Fidos. I mean, the goal, we've looked at other opportunities around three-team cricket as well, and is there a slightly longer version to add to it? So definitely the plan would be to grow this, to look at a schools version, to look at how we can fit it into our calendars going forward. And I think just on the focus of getting this first game launched on the 27th, I think post that there'll be a debrief, see where it sits and how we can introduce it to the calendar year. With all the challenges that we face on COVID as well. I think it would be fantastic if we can at some stage in the summer, in particular, look at a schools program. I think would be exciting for me.
For those, could I come in there? We're also keen to establish the fact that this is also a 90 over three-team format for effectively 45 overs in each half, 30 overs each team batting. We really like that. We're not saying that we think one-day cricket's dead. At the World Cup last year in England proved conclusively it wasn't. But we do think we can breathe new life into the middle form of the game, and we think that three-team cricket works in that extremely well. The 8-man version, obviously because of the COVID situation and social distancing, will apply on Sunday, but ideally players of this level would need more fielders. So yes, I mean, we certainly think there are wider opportunities for the format. We think potentially we're investigating or doing a lot of research ourselves into a multi-team format. So it doesn't have to be 3, it could be 4 or 5 teams in a game. And equally, as Graham says, as we explore it for the youngsters, so we'll explore it for the high level. No, I don't just mean professional, I mean top level club cricket and first class cricket as well. We've got a few months to spare until the start of the season. And believe me, we'll be driving forward just as hard in the next couple of months with our plans for the future as we have with our plans for the Solidarity Cup.
Can I just ask you from that, I mean, we've already had a different format in the 100 being introduced. Why was there a need to get another different format? I mean, how many formats is cricket going to have?
Well, absolutely, this isn't about need. This is about an idea for a format that might inspire, entertain, enthuse in a different way. As I said at the beginning, and I'm not, this isn't rhetoric, I truly believe that all formats work in cricket. They have done since the start of the game. The game in its first incarnation hundreds of years ago was played in a very different format from the one today. The only format of cricket that I believe needs ongoing preservation and almost arms wrapped around it is test match cricket, and the longer form of first class cricket, that's the nursery for that. All other forms of the game provide interest. And if we can unlock the key, the silver bullet, as I called it earlier, to a game that inspires the next generation to be fully embraced by it, in other words, 8 players on the field, 6 fielders, maybe in zones, maybe in a clock format, so that one fielder starts at long leg, moves to mid-wicket, moves to mid-on, moves to mid-off, moves and has an overreach in each position, gets a chance to bat and bowl. Nobody who plays 8-man, 3-team cricket will miss out on the thrills of the game that inspired us. So we're exploring that as a possible answer going forward, because at the moment, I think outside of the subcontinent, we probably aren't embracing the amount of young people we could.
Happy for those?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, perfect. I've got a question from Tianis for Paul Harris. So we're going to move to him. Tianis, you can go.
I just want to know from Paul how he got the idea for 3-team cricket.
Yeah, I mean, it's as simple as playing cards with my family, and we were in 3 teams. And suddenly I said, well, what about cricket? You know, I've always been intrigued with how to develop the game, how do you actually get teams that perhaps aren't as competitive as others into playing with better teams? How do you get clubs and schools that haven't got the facilities, how do you get them involved in competing at sort of the highest level? And that was the end of the card game. And off I went and, you know, spent hours and hours sort of puzzling it out. And then I found these amazing people. And there are lots of others that were also involved. I mean, guys like Robbie Naidu and Brandon Lee and Gareth Whittaker, David Becker. I mean, this was a really team effort, and it was intriguing. But I think the ultimate concept is getting more people involved, you know. And in that card game, it was my daughter and wife playing, and I said, what about me? Can't I also play? And that's how it started, as simple as that.
Thanks.
It is intriguing, this business about how a weaker team can compete with the 2 better teams, because the 2 better teams will be so busy trying to knock each other off that the weaker team can sneak on them. The better team might want to bowl its best bowlers against the best batsmen from the stronger team, which leaves the weaker team with the weaker bowlers to face. So I think that's a really intriguing aspect of this game.
Thank you, Mark. If there are no more takers for questions, I would like to bring in close to the program. I'm just going to give 5 seconds for somebody to please indicate.
I've got one more thing to say. I'm sorry to be boring. It's just to talk about Supersport and their role in this. Supersport have been very active in driving this innovation that they want to bring to the coverage as well. They were very keen to show the game, and their enthusiasm for it has been a great fillip to us. So my thanks to Supersport. And finally, the website is 3, that's the number 3, team.cricket, and it's all there, including the rules. 7 rules that make this game what it is in the 36 over format, and then it's followed by official rules that sort of explain those further, as well as a Q&A. So it's well worth getting on the website. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Mark. We've got one more question from Zahir Adams. Zahir, please go for your question and indicate who you would like to answer.
Hi there, guys. It's just generally to all the organizers. Obviously, the idea is to involve as many people as possible within the game. Was there any thought to possibly including some of the Proteas women's ladies in the game, in the game, in terms of you know, just making it accessible to everybody?
Thanks, Aya. At this stage, we do have one Mignon's going to be coaching one of the teams. But really, it's also just about, you know, from a COVID perspective, a medical perspective, just trying to keep it as controlled as possible, and we've decided to be conservative on this one and stick to our top 24 players. You know, also balancing teams, trying to make sure that the spectacle in the day is a good one, that the cricket is of a high standard as well. And there's enough experimenting going on that we decided to really just, you know, simplify that.
Happy, Zahir? We've got one last question, final question from Ken to Graham.
Yeah, sorry, Graham. Just going back to selection again. It just struck me that one name who's not there and is obviously a very popular cricketer, great entertainer, Dale Steyn. Is he unavailable?
Yeah, he's unavailable, Ken.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us and for your patience. I hope that you all enjoyed this morning's press conference and the announcement of this really exciting program. If you have any other questions, you're more than welcome to send them through my way, and I'll ensure that the right people get to give you the answers. But I would just like to close the program now and to say thank you to everybody for joining us. Have a lovely day further, and yeah, everybody stay safe and stay healthy.